I remember letting go of the thought that there was a God. I was in Alabama. I was walking up the street to my dormitory. In Alabama, you can, you know, down south the stars, you can see them real close and stuff like that. So I was walking, and all of a sudden, it felt like the sky was like right here up on me. While I was having that thought about maybe there's nothing out there, and I felt like this, and what it made me feel was real small. And I was grateful for that feeling because that's what we are. We keep thinking we hype up our importance, like those mediocre white men all the time. Like that, it's a white supremacist ideal to make yourself bigger than you fucking are. And because those are principles that rule and are what do you call it? They're put into our laws and our codes. It is what it is. So trying to deal with that, it's such a schizophrenic way to look at life to me. It's very, and it's so boring, and I'm tired of telling that narrative. Like I'm trying to educate anybody on this because at this point, the only way that you're not educated on it is if you don't want to be. The information is there; it's everywhere. It's free. You can go and get this from anywhere. You can find out the origins of your people, of my people, of any people. You don't have to ask the people at all. You can go ahead and find out and Google it yourself, or however you want to do research. But I don't. This was per our conversation earlier. I was trying to figure out where am I going to go with that, and what occurred to me was the amount of nuance in the human condition still that we don't pay attention to because we are really taught to live and think in a very binary way. We're always taught everything is good or bad. So if I'm this and you aren't me, then you must be the other thing. That's a very simple way of it, but that's how most of us, that's how many people look at other groups. If I am this group and you don't look anything like me, you're the other group. And then whatever they've attached in their head to that group, they attach to you. And I get tired of, like that young man said, and showed you the video. I'm tired of throwing black genius at white mediocrity, trying to explain why you need to treat me like a human. I don't have to do that. I don't have to explain my humanity to you. Just like trans people don't have to they don't have to explain that. And what occurred to me is the amount of control, because per our conversation a few moments ago, talking about getting rid of ideas in religion, because religion is just a system of control, that it's nothing more than that. A lot of people use it in ways that have become very beneficial. Yes, people have done some wonderful things in the name of religion, but people have also committed horrors and atrocities in the name of religion. And the fact that you can sit comfortably in a pew knowing that the religion that you worship and the God that you serve sanctioned all this brutality is weird as fuck to me. Move that over there to the other side. It's weird that and then you put money in so that they can continue to do it around the world. It's particularly, a lot of people don't notice if your church has missionary on it. That means they go and invade other people's space and try and proselytize to them. They go and proselytize. Just like Jehovah's Witnesses, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses in another country. We go do it in other countries. Knock on their freaking villages and tell them the word of God. And nobody asked us. Well, not us. You religious folk.
The hungry ones.
Yeah, the people without hope. That's who they target. They target people who are in despair, and then they offer you a solution and give you a bit of bread, and now you think that their God is, here to save you and help you. And it's really that simple. That's just psychological warfare is really what that is. It's using your enemy's weakness against them. If you're trying to invade somebody, you're going to take the time when they are most vulnerable, and you're going to go in there and you teach them their ideology and you give them something to be grateful for. And you know that those people are now indebted to you. Yeah, psychological warfare. And religions have used that for millennia, not centuries. Millennia. Religion has used that edict to get people to, convert and conform. The ways, if you even read your own books, that people behaved in those books. I don't even understand how you read that comfortably, and then you see an X-rated movie or an R-rated movie, and you start being squeamish. Are you serious? You fucking idiots! But yeah, they teach us stupid stuff like that. Like one, and the reason I call you an idiot is because you think one is worse than the other one. You actually think one is worse than the other one. Both of them are describing in their own way scenes of destruction and death in some shape, form, or fashion, and both of them should be used as entertainment and nothing more. It shouldn't be anything more than that. It is not to be worshipped. In fact, if you are a Christian and you are worshiping and you are a worshiping Christian, you're doing the exact opposite of what Jesus said do. So, um, not throwing any more black genius at white people. It is just time for us to realize that we need to stop. We have to stop giving money and energy to places and people and entities, particularly businesses that don't have our best interest at heart. And it's the ones that are claiming that they have our best interest at heart that are the worst, that are the biggest offenders. And the church is the worst offender because they particularly if you get into the Christian national part of, Christianity, where they're against everything that isn't white and male for the most part, because the way that they treat women is second rate. It's no worse than what they believe happens in Muslim countries. They just don't make them wear burqas. They exercise autonomy over the women the same way that you think that happens in the Middle East. And you don't think that this is the same thing? They just took away all the rights of women to get babies out of their body if they choose not to be pregnant at some point. And you don't think that that's the same thing. The fact that you don't think that that's the same thing means that you have drunk the Kool-Aid. You have fallen for the propaganda because it's not made to look like the same thing. So it's meant to confuse you, but it's the exact same thing. So you pay the people to rape your children. You sit in their pews. You build these wonderful monuments to them. You pay these exorbitant salaries to these people for a variety of reasons on whatever level it is we're talking about, be it the church or government. And we still think that these people deserve to lead us. A lot of you are just finding out now. Hold on. It's going to get. Just hold on. Everything that we have told you all that you are, you're going to see yourselves in real time. Watch. So, because it's just happening all over the place right about now. It's like, what? Like, this is bananas. I don't know. Like I said, throwing any more, I don't want to give a whole bunch of James Baldwin and, that type of thing, because we have done that, again, at least for the last century. Nothing in this country was ever set up to give us an advantage. That is something that we as people of color need to know. So if you have gotten ahead and you are a person of color, good, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you slipped through the cracks. I'm glad that you are a part of that percentage of people who were able to do that. But there is nothing that is set up for us to succeed in the way that white people have succeeded in this country for at least for the last 300-400 years. Nothing. I was just saying earlier, from the GI Bill, redlining, you pick any of the things that happen to people of color in this country, and then you ask us to date on equal footing. You ask us to provide for our families equally the same way. You ask us to be able to buy houses in the same way and afford property in the same way and be able to still maintain those houses and that property after having paid these exorbitant amounts of money, depending on where you live, because you pay the amount for the house, you pay the amount of fees for the people to let you buy the house. You know what I'm talking about. There's a lawyer, there's the people who got to sign, there's the mortgage company, and all these other fees that you got to do, the inspections and all the rest of that. So everybody's getting money off of that. And then they ask you to pay taxes. And usually within the first year, if you're buying a house, your taxes go up for some weird reason. We have no idea why. It's called taxes. So you, within the first year, now you have this payment on this house, you have these taxes, and don't live in a place where there's an HOA. Don't live in a place where there's an HOA. because they get you another time. And even once you finish, you can pay your house off in a year and a half. Doesn't matter. You're still gonna have to pay taxes on that house the whole time that you have it. I said this the last video. We think we have no other choice. We've been taught that this is the way things are. I actually was this woman, and she and I have become better friends on social media. But one of our first interactions was, I was saying something about the country. The country needs to be overthrown, and she was like, "Oh my God, what are you talking about?" Da, 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 da. Well, it's the only country we have. It's the only declaration, the only constitution we have. And I'm like, that's the lowest form of thinking I could ever think of. That's what we have, so we have to deal with it. But most of us have gotten that in. We have gotten that into ourselves. This is the way that, and it's a process. That no, the fuck, it's not. And the country just showed us, if you were paying attention, they showed us that it is not a process to do shit. You go have the stupid man with a pen sign some shit, and shit changes overnight. That's how shit happens. We have been waiting for reparations for God knows how long, but all the $300 million that we sent over to 300 billion, excuse me, I'm sorry, my faux pas. $300 billion that we sent to Israel for them to continue the genocide. And yet we still get up and we go to work, and we still get up and we shop in their stores, and we give them our money, and we still pay their taxes because we are fearful. You're fearful. And then here's the crazy part, right? And I don't know if people think, this far ahead, or it's just my thinking because I think weird. But you get up and you do all of that rat race shit, right? Like, you've done all the things that they've asked you to do. You've gone, you've met the man or the woman, you've had the babies, you've bought the house, you got the car, you got the job, you got the salary, you got the property, you got the 2.5 kids, you got the dog in the yard, and now you are anxious as fuck. Now you are anxious as fuck and don't know what to do with your life. It's the same routine day in and day out, and you are sick of it. So you go seek some entertainment somewhere. And that's where we usually get sidetracked. Not just in terms of our relationship, but just in terms of values in general. Too much entertainment. Most of us are way too entertained. But it's because we participate in all this stuff that we do all the time, made and designed to keep you busy. I don't. And watching people go through this is really, really weird. Watching people get up every day and go to work and complain about their job, and then know that the solution, when you know that the solution is you have to economically starve people before they begin to pay attention to you. But you can't do that if you have workers showing up to work every day. You can't do that. You can't make the company know the value of losing you if you're there at your desk all the time. But you're terrified. You're terrified. You got to save your sick days so that you can go on vacation, because you need to be entertained, because you are stressed through all of this stuff that you call life, that you yourself went out and got, thinking it would make you feel whole. And you realize now that none of it has added much to you except anger, frustration, resentment, maybe moments of joy from here and there, but it is other than routine. Yeah, because you were sold a lie. Particularly if you were a woman of color. You were raised given some fairy tale that a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes is going to live out somewhere. What the fuck were you thinking you was going to get? You thought a black Prince Charming was riding up in his what? You thought he was going to pull up for his price of $300 and whisk you away, bitch? That's what you thought was going to happen? That's what many of you actually think. And it's funny because I watch it. Y'all have different variations of it on social media. You're all doing the same thing. Very few original people. Y'all are all doing a variation of the same fucking model. And it is nothing but the slave model expanded. Y'all are out here reproducing more people to feed into a system that does not really benefit you. Oh, but I got my money. What about the rest of your fucking community? That's where we've got it messed up. See, we complained about the fact that white people are always looking out for white people, but when it gives our turn to look out for black people, we don't look out for black people in the same way. And then y'all sit and say we can't all get along. What? It's y'all. It can't be done by one person. It can't be done by one person. Everybody has to pitch in. It's a collective thing. We all have to sacrifice if we actually want this to come to fruition. Because see, the thing that you keep forgetting, and this is why I think most people are bad parents, is because y'all forget it's not about you. It's about how your kids are going to live. What do you think the kids today, born into a society where abortion is no longer fucking legal, are going to think? Knowing that it was once legal from 1973 until the 2020s. What do you think they're going to say? How do you think they're going to feel about that? These are y'all children who no longer have the right to abortion because you didn't stand up. You had to go to work. You had to continue to feed into the system that hates you. We complain about that when we see it in history, not realizing that we are at that exact same spot. We complain. We will watch a piece on history and go, I don't know how they kept going in those fields. I couldn't have did it. That couldn't have been me. I ain't my ancestors. Yes, you are. With much less finesse. You are the same thing. Yeah. In a lot of instances, yeah. Yeah. You have to know, you have to economically starve these people. If history has taught us one thing, it is that they don't really care if you are black, if you're green spins. They'll take it. Which is why we have this online thing has created so many different ways where they can get our money without ever having to touch our black hands. They ain't even got to see you monkeys no more. They'll sell it to you online and we gobble it up. We do. I do. We do. And we have to think bigger. We have to think bigger because there are other people who are dependent on us who aren't even born yet. And that's the thing that we keep forgetting. There are other people who are depending on the decisions that you make right now who are not even born yet. You still worried about dying and what's going to happen to you when you die. I don't know how to explain it to you, except this is the best, most comforting thought that I was ever given in regard to death. People always ask, how do you want to be disposed of once you have died? My answer is usually, I don't care because I won't be there. I really don't care what you do. You can set me out with Tuesday's trash. I really am okay with that. I don't care. But for people's sake, you got to answer these types of questions. So having this conversation, and I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson, not in person, obviously, but after having this conversation, I happened to see a video, and he was talking about cremation. And he said the energy that exists within your bones and in your body, when you are cremated, as the fire burns, all that energy shoots out endlessly and it keeps going. It's like light. It's like the photons and everything from your body shoot out endlessly and they just keep going forever until they, I guess, crash into them. But that could be for never. It could be for never. Your energy just travels endlessly and your consciousness is transformed. Now that's stuff that we actually have scientific proof for. All the stuff that you have read that terrifies you, have kept you in a pattern of doing things that other people have told you to do your entire life. Do they have proof? Aside from the book. Outside of the book. Critical thinking is going to be required in this next part of our existence if we're going to survive. We can no longer afford to continue to give away our energy to people who are just using us for our resources. You need to understand that is a real thing. People honestly use you for your money is energy. Your time is energy. People will use you for these things, take all that you have, and leave you nothing to fight for your own community. In fact, that is the way that they want it. They don't want you fighting for your community. What they want is you completely absorbed in all these booby traps that they have set, in entertainment, in religion, in lust, and marriage and children. Because all of that stuff is okay if you find it and can make something good with it, but it isn't the good thing that you think is going to be just based because you're doing it. Just because you get married does not mean your marriage is going to be good. Just because you have children does not mean that they're going to turn out to be good people. Both of those things require work. They require unselfish devotion on your behalf to other people. See, we don't understand that that is complete. When you submit to somebody, and people, particularly black women, have a problem with submission, and I get it. But you need to understand that every time you bring another person into your life, you are submitting to them. That submission. When you have to regard somebody before you can do certain things, that you are submitting to them. Children, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. That's submission. So you think because you keep having kids with people, but you're not in a relationship, that you haven't submitted to anybody, you still got kids out here. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You don't even realize it. And the fact that you don't realize that that is complete submission is the problem. Because you would not have taken that job as lightly if you realized that if somebody told you that children were submission and you have to submit a part of you for every child you have, you probably would have either had none or less. Every relationship that you get into, it doesn't matter if it's a friend or whomever you have to interact with, is submission. It is a contract. It is you in agreement with somebody else about what this situation is going to be. In the parent and child relationship, you agree to be the parent, the kid agrees to be a kid. But kid has a whole wide span of things. So just because you have a kid does not mean that your life is going to pop up roses. I have a niece, and she had a daughter, and I don't know what the exact condition. I think it was a hydroencephalus, where she had like water on the brain. But I'm not certain. I know my great niece, who this child was, never walked. I think she passed away when she was like 11, maybe 10 or 11 years old. She never walked her entire life. She didn't speak. She wore pampers. Her mother had to change her entire life. You have no idea what's brewing here in your womb, is where I'm pointing down here. Not that I have one, but you know what I'm talking about. You have no idea what's going to come out. You have absolutely no idea what's going to come out of you. And this is the thing that I'm coming to understand as we begin to understand more and more about biology, because it is the male that builds the placenta inside the woman. It is the information, it is the genetic information from him that builds that. So just because your body is good, if you don't know what the fuck his body is going on with his body, you don't know what the fuck your womb is going to produce. You have no idea what's going to come out of you. He's smoking Newports and blunts and all the rest of this and drinking this and that and the third and all the dark liquor that he want and come and lay up with you, and now you pregnant, wondering why your pregnancy is so volatile, why you got all the hyper gestational diabetes and all the rest of these other things. That comes from him. Y'all aren't paying attention. Stop breeding because we were taught to breed. We were used to breed. We were chattel. They bred you like they breed cows now. And you keep doing it because you think that that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be prolific with children. Instead of having one and being intentional with that one. Instead of raising a leader for your society. You just rather turn out 10 motherfucking knuckleheads. How does that help? For whom have you done this? Do you really know? Have you ever asked yourself? Like, it's the wildest thing to me. Nobody, I don't know one person with a farm, and I know people with upwards of 8 children. I don't understand. There's no reason. And I'm not against having kids. If you can support them and make them good people, good. Some people think it's just the support that matters. Like as long as you have a building to stick them in and some clothes to throw on them and food to shovel down their throat, you're a good parent. They never see you. They never spend individual time with you. They don't get to talk about the things that are on their mind. They can't tell you what's hurting them, all these other things, but you're a good parent. Then you wonder why there's all these nuanced things that are not going on now that didn't happen when we were kids. All these people in therapy, all these people taking all these psychotropic drugs, all these people with all these new DSM related disorders and things like that. Because we aren't fucking paying attention. We're not creating quality human beings. We're just creating human beings. And I am not afraid to say that y'all don't even understand how important this is. You know what thought pisses me off the most? The fact that motherfuckers with zero education and zero thought about politics can walk into a voting booth and has the same right to vote that I do, but not the same information. That's intentional. They want you to be uneducated when it comes to politics. They want us to be uneducated when it comes to finance. They want us to be uneducated when it comes to matters of law. They want us uneducated when it comes to matters of real estate. They want us uneducated when it comes to matters of accounting. They want us uneducated when it comes to matters of health and wellness, personal wellness. They want us uneducated when it comes to matters of self and knowing yourself and who you are and what you're capable of. They want you ignorant of that. And we don't see that because we're so busy. We have choir rehearsal on Tuesday. We got usher board on Thursday. We got prayer meeting on Wednesday. We got the club on Saturday. We got church on Sunday. And then you get back up Monday and go to work. See? They've taken your whole life. They've taken every second of your motherfucking day. And they've occupied it with shit that has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with who you are. Even your kids have nothing to do with who you are. What you're capable of. What you could be in this world. None of that. None of that. None of that. And I'm not saying if you have kids that you can't achieve. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying figure out why the fuck you're having kids. Can't say it plainer. You have no idea why you're having them. You think having them is going to create something in you that doesn't already exist. And I'm here to tell you that whatever it is that you think you're creating already exists. You can have it without the children. You can have that same feeling without the children. Just like you can have the relationship feeling without the relationship. You don't have to go through all of these things. Most of us, particularly anybody, if you are listening and you are close to my age and you can look at my beard and know about guessing I'm generation X. So if you have lived a full enough life, you've come across the variety, the full range of human emotion and feelings. There's no feeling that somebody can evoke in you that you can't evoke in yourself. In fact, when you think you're loving somebody else, the love that you feel comes from you. It's just the amount of love that that person brings out in you. So there's no reason for you to even have another person. They've made you submit to somebody else so that there is always somebody to check you. It begins the system of checks and balances that they have created throughout society. And it goes on down the ladder. You have men who check women. You have women who check children. You have children who are then probably, you find out if your kid is a psychopath if they're doing something to animals. You have the government who rules the father. And if the father isn't there, the government supports the mother. Moves her up to the position where the father would be. I know I used to work for the government in the welfare department. And every first of the month, So yeah, you have that going on, and then you have the church, which is above everybody, right? And the church should, if you have the type of community that people want to make you think is in order, you have the church who would keep the politicians in line if they were actually following the shit that they say that they're following, and then the politicians who would keep the rest of the community in line, and then the community keeps the family in line, and then the family keeps the individuals in line. You have no idea how deep you obey that structure. You have no idea. And as I was saying to a friend of mine earlier, if you look, what I come, it looks to me anyway. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't, everything that they point us to, it seems like the answer is behind us. If they point you to a white Jesus, and we've come to understand that the real goddess on this earth is the black woman, it's diametrically opposed. Back in the other direction, 180 degrees. Because back is actually forward. Up is actually down. We agree on these things as a world community, as a human race, depending on what language it is you've learned and what your common understanding of where you are in the cosmos is. But we have no idea what direction we are. Which way is up in the universe? Nobody has a clue. We are hurtling through space at thousands, millions of miles an hour in a direction that we have no idea where we're going. We're orbiting the whole galaxy. It's not just the Earth orbiting the sun and the rest of the planets. It is the sun orbiting the galaxy. And the galaxy is orbiting the universe. Like, you really have to understand there is layers to this shit. The layers that you're looking down on humanity, you should be looking up there and finding the fucking answers you need instead of believing what these people are put in these books if there is no foundation. All the people that they say died, there's no grave. Where are the graves? Everybody, all of a sudden, this is how all the religious texts deal with their messiahs. They magically floated up to heaven somehow. Every last one.
Y'all walk on water.
Y'all don't find that suspicious? Y'all don't find that suspicious? Every last one of them. Y'all believe that?
Y'all came from like a virgin birth.
Y'all believe the virgin gave birth.
You walk on water.
Y'all believe all of that stuff, but it's terrifying for you to believe that all of that could be bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
All those layers of information, it is nothing but the game of telephone that has happened over the course of centuries, and somebody added books. If you know what the game telephone is, you know what I'm talking about. You have a group of people, maybe in a line or a circle, and you start with a very simple sentence. You say it in this, and it goes all the way around, and it's never the same thing by the time it gets to the other side. It's never the same thing. Whatever you say here, it's not the same thing. The fact that we don't believe that can happen with religious texts throughout the centuries, because you can't, man's hands can't change God's plans, or whatever little stupid thing it is you tell yourself to make yourself feel better about the fact that you want to believe this bullshit. Boo-bye. Your critical thinking skills have been short-circuited. As Jasmine says, yeah, your critical thinking is going to be short-circuited the moment that you feel offended. But that's not my problem. That's for you to deal with Google later on, and you can pray about it if you want to. I don't know, whatever it is you feel you need to do to feel better. I'm just here to help and give you some information. And I say this, and I'm gonna, because I'm tired of talking about it, honestly. And I am, because I'm exasperated. I have people in my life who are close enough relatives who believe this shit, and it's annoying that I have to sit and listen to this. I listened to it today. I've listened to it before, and all your religious shit is a bunch of control that somebody has over you. But I'm not gonna say that to my friends. I've said it at least once to all of them. I'm not gonna say it again. Yes, I did say it because to me, I would be remiss to not tell you that it's bullshit. Now, if you want to continue to think, because I think people who choose religion just don't want responsibility. You don't want to think about what it is that either you have done or that you're. I don't know what it is. I don't understand why you're just so disconnected from being human that you need to look outside of yourself for some sort of satisfaction. I don't understand it. But that's not my therapy group to be in. It really isn't. What I would suggest for anybody, if you feel like your religion is the true religion, then you should also know that your religion should be able to withstand inquisition. Your religion should be able to withstand questions, and it should be able to be tested, and nothing happen if it's so true. Because that's what happens with the truth. You can't shake the truth like that, because at the end of the day, it's true. You can't get no more basic than that. But some of you have listened to the things that happen, and you've listened to very what are they charismatic people over the years who have entranced you and lulled you. Good luck with that. It's time to wake the fuck up. If you have a question, direct question, you can inbox me. Inbox me. I don't really answer calls. I don't know why I did that, but you can inbox me, and I'll probably, I'll try and get back to you and find a way to point you in the direction where you can begin your deconstruction. Okay. Other than that, I'll see you right here next week. If you choose to come back, I'm sure that the information I know, the stuff that I talk about, is either completely abhorrent to you, or it's some weird shit that this weird guy on the internet is saying. I get it, but anything I say is Googleable. You can Google and make a liar out of me in less than 2 seconds. I dare you. I'll see you next time.